Hey folks, how are you? Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, AncestryLands.com. Boy, it's heating up this summer, huh? It's already turning out to be quite a hot one, as early June, the weather is already becoming very, very hot. Don't forget to like and share this everywhere so we can get this out to the people who need to hear it. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, AncestryLands.com. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to talk to you guys about things that I struggle with. And I think it's good to hear sometimes, you know, the good things that go on, but it's also sometimes better to understand the struggles people go through. So this video will, or in the series of videos, will talk about certain things that I struggle with. One of the main things I struggle with, you know, and I could talk a little bit about it, you know, within my marriage, when you're married to someone, and, you know, myself, I have this vision of wealth and land and generational wealth. You know, that's a hard concept to impart or impress upon someone. People, the idea of generational wealth, the idea of ownership, financial management, financial literacy, financial understanding, and financial like practice, your financial habits, there's not really a big, I guess you could say, educational curve on when you're dating. Your parents don't talk to you about that kind of stuff. It's go out there, have some fun, be young and dumb and full of whatever, and experience life. And what people do not tell you about is you're going to entangle yourself, you know, you're going to find yourself being with people who, look at this idiot here. You see this guy right here driving in the middle of oncoming traffic. Obviously there's some kind of rally over here that's going on. I don't know what it is down here in Philadelphia. I'm in the Philadelphia region, the Drexel region, and obviously you can see over there right past those police cars, there's a pretty long police detail for, it looks like people protesting or something. I don't got time for that. I got to get home. I had a long day, so I'm not interested. But in any case, you know, the thing about it is that our financial habits are not always this. I don't know what he's beeping at me for. It's not like I can do anything about it. You're gonna have to just wait, I guess. This guy's, yeah, you see what's going on. Yeah, I'm not gonna just beat my horn at everybody. I don't really care that much enough, you know. Oh, that's why he didn't get into the other lane. I got you, buddy. Okay, well, go right behind me and get right in front of you. Aha, touche, boozy cat. In any case, you know, you don't get told about how to financially date. When I say financially date, to date people who are within your financial, you know, they're compatible financially. And it takes a while when you do not learn those habits, you don't learn that information, that knowledge, you're going to have a harder time trying to find people who are financially compatible with you, which probably leads to a lot of divorces, hardships in relationships. One of the things that I very, very well in my younger years was keen on, that helped me when now I'm in my 40s, is I didn't date women who were in massive amounts of debt. And I'm not saying it's dating women. I'm a man, so I dated women. But even for women, finding people who are not in debt, if you're not in debt yourself, being equally yoked financially. So when I met my wife, we both did not carry debt. We did not have lingering debt. We had great credit scores. That was something else that was very important to us when we met each other, you know, our prospective selves. It was things that we saw that we had in common because we both financially understood the value of good credit. That was a great marker for me. And we, you know, the income part is a little hard and a little tricky because you try to look for people who make high income, but you know, when a woman has children or bears children, their income may go down. They may not work at all. They may want to choose to be stay-home moms. So income is not always a qualifier for me that a woman needed to make a quality income, but somebody needs to make a quality income. And someone's got to have the ability to make more income if one person were to fall. And I knew I was qualified in doing that. What happens is, even though my wife, which is one of the few women that I know, did not make a lot of income comparatively to myself, because don't forget, we both worked in the hospital. She worked in the nutrition department, but I worked in nursing. Nurses make a lot more than people in the nutrition department. She's not a nutritionist. So you're talking about someone who makes well above the minimum wage, but does not make as much as a nurse does. It's easier for me to date a nurse laterally, and I'll have a person that's making that much money, but then again, I'll also have a person making that much debt. And believe me, your nurses are in debt, a lot of debt. And I'm not just talking about student loans, because a lot of nurses go out and buy a freaking Mercedes-Benz, and they got thousands and thousands of dollars of student loan debt to contend with. And the first thing that they'll go out and do is buy a fancy car to reward themselves for graduating with a degree like everyone else. I mean, I don't even understand that. But again, that's the financial habits that we talk about. So when you're meeting someone like that, you are going to have a hard time, especially if they don't come from a family that teaches good financial habits, financial management, financial understanding, and the language of the finances spoken in the house is not the same or even lateral. You know what I mean? They got to speak the same dialect as you. And that's going to be hard if you don't find someone that has that. And to me, that takes precedence over look, over culture, over religion, because again, where do most marriages end up in? Divorce. And that has to deal with finances. I don't care what culture you're in, people separate. And they separate, and it always has a financial outcome, because it's your income that's financially being decided upon, right? The kid's staying with the mom. She wants alimony. She wants this, that. The dad doesn't have enough. You see all these dads complaining about how much they don't have because of the lack of income. It doesn't matter if they're two white couples, two black couples, two gay couples, two people who from whatever culture, you still end up being, your end of your relationship will always be decided on finances. If you're married, legally. Even if you're living together, if you have one legal attachment to you in that relationship, it's going to end with finances being the thing deciding on the outcome, no matter what. So, with that being said, it is to me more essential that you have a person that you can build and grow with, having good financial habits. Having a good financial understanding, financial education, financial learning, or you have to have someone that is willing to learn, that has the hunger to learn, but not learn from you. You cannot be the teacher and the interactor of financial understanding, literacy, and education. They have to go out and find that on their own. Or you will struggle like I have. You will have a hard time and many arguments with your spouse over the gap between your financial understanding and their lack of financial awareness. My wife is a great saver because she came from a situation where she had to survive. So she survived by saving her money. And when I met her, she was a great saver, but she could not generate and earn money. She could only save what was paid to her. She could not generate and earn money. She was not a good investor. She couldn't earn more than what she made and what she traded her dollars for hours for. Shout out to Kevin McLemore. She was in the rat race, always going into work. Her savings was decided on when she clocked in and out of work each day. So in order for her to save, her attendance was required. It didn't matter what, and that was always behind whatever debt or whatever expenses, not always debt, but expenses that she incurred along the way. So her savings was never, her money was never working for her, to sum it up. She was never having her money work for her. She was working for her money. Now, me, on the other hand, I had the ability to generate a lot of money, but I had a little bit of problem with savings because I didn't maximize my savings. I like to live a little bit. I figure, hey, if I made $3,000 and my expenses cost me $1,000, then I could just save $1,000 and spend $1,000, right? That's $3,000. That's a good thing. But that catches up with you over time. So we both had missing pieces of our own puzzles. And what happens is that a person who saves always is in a survival mode, but I was in a thriving mode. I was living life to experience life and enjoy the finer things in life while not living in debt. My wife never lived above her means, but always stayed below her means, well below her means. But when it was time for us to invert ourselves into the other person's position, such as me becoming a better saver or my wife understanding the power of investing, what do you keep braking for, man? Speed up. There's no cars in front of you. Jeez Louise, man, you see this car up here, man. When she had to become a person who could thrive, because when she met me, our collective income shot up, or her access to my income shot up. And when I met her, I had to understand that she was more of a saver. And she was about saving money, putting money away, okay? I mean, I'm not from the school of thought that when you enter a relationship, that these expectations, both for men and women, they're absolute, they're finite. I don't believe that. In your 20s, you don't got all of your stuff together. And that's where most people meet, either in their mid, early, or late 20s. Now, probably a little bit different. But even during that time, you're just learning about the world. You're not even at your prime income earning years. And despite what things like the, other spheres of thought, they may say, a lot of men are still engaging in relationships at younger ages. In their 20s, mid to late 20s, even early 30s. And not everybody, especially in this economy, has it all figured out. It takes a while to do that. And so my wife and I argued about those points. But again, because we both understood the value of good credit and building that, and sometimes you're not going to find the person that is always good looking. Because, believe me, I'm sure my wife has dated a lot of handsome gentlemen. And I've dated my fair share of more than women who could turn a head while she's either on my shoulder or walking by herself. But one thing I have seen is that those people did not always have the financial habits and the wherewithal to be able to see that their finances are as good as their looks are. If anything, they were mostly in debt. And what they were looking was from someone to sponsor that debt. And a lot of guys who look good, that's all they could sell my wife was their good look, or good, good D and bubblegum is what I call it. That's all they had was mouthpiece game and a good swing of the hips. And for a while, that might have been good. But after a while, you start wanting more out of life, and you start seeing that the people around you will start taking more because you're going up. And if they're not going anywhere, they can either hold on, which means they're taking from your trajectory. I told my wife that when we first met and we started dating. You cannot take the world with you on the climb to success, because all they're going to do is drag you down to the bottom. It's like a counterweight. When people are submerging and diving down into deeper depths, they use something called a counterweight because your body naturally wants to float up. So they use a weight to keep bringing you down. Well, that's what people dragging you down. You see the same thing happen to MC Hammer and a host of others, who these people bring on large entourages and people to support that don't generate any value to the person's outcomes or goals. They don't. What they do is they hold on and they siphon away your actual wealth or your income because you're supporting them instead of them supporting themselves. And we all got family members who we do that with from time to time. And I had to tell my wife to separate herself from those kind of people because they're not going to go anywhere. And if you want to go someplace, you're going to have to make a hard decision and coalesce around a person, myself, that is going to help you generate and propel forward motion to get you that outcome. And we struggled with that for a while. I struggled with deciding on whether my relationship was worth it. And she just struggled, possibly, from my aggressiveness at maintaining my position that I would not allow us to deviate away from that train of thought or that mindset that I had. Now, that hurts a relationship because it's not lovey-dovey. It's not built around, oh, baby, the woman is queen, God, salt, mother of the earth. I don't believe that bullshit. I don't. You're a woman just like I'm a man. We're both fallible. We make mistakes, and we mostly trying to figure out this thing called life. One of us has to become a leader, a person who decides, not a person who agrees or decides on. Someone's got to decide and lead and take the first step. That doesn't mean that we tell everybody which step to take, but the first step, someone's got to be brave enough to do that. And that was decided to be me. It was chosen to be me. My wife was not looking for a partner, for someone that she could tell. She was looking for someone to guide her. Before everybody gets up in their arms about my position as a leader within my family, that's what my wife and my mother-in-law wanted from the man that she was going to choose. And what they were looking for to see was, do I qualify? Did I have the strength to lead them to the place that my mother-in-law is happy that her daughter is at now? But it takes work. It takes a lot of work. It takes patience. And you're not gonna feel great about hurting people's feelings because you're resolute in your resolve. You're going to not be in love. You're going to have to just love a person and guide them the correct way. It's like children. You know, sometimes you have to discipline them and you don't necessarily like it, but a good parent does what is necessary to raise a proper child. Sometimes you have to hurt your child's feelings to get them to become a better person. And most people do not have the heart to do what is necessary, to do what is really ultimately right. Because they're trying to feel right, not trying to do right. Because they're not trying to lead with righteousness. They're trying to make sure everybody's comfortable and okay and not uncomfortable. Well, that's not right. Because the world doesn't care about whether you're uncomfortable or not. Because if the world has this choice, it's going to take you up out of here. It's going to eliminate the weak ones. And that rule of law, rule of nature has never changed. You want it? You know how I can tell you? You know how I can prove that to you? Go outside and stand in the cold without warmth and see if you last. See if the snow or the frigid temperatures will let you go ahead and be warm when it's not. Dude, you want to get out? You want to get in? You want to get behind me, or you want to still try to inch in with your small Kia? Just get your behind me, and we aight. Talking to the guy in back of me, man. And you're gonna sit here and try to inch in, and then what? You're gonna hit the side of my corner because you got a small car? Freaking idiot, man. Do you want to prove me wrong? Stand outside in the heat. Stand outside in this, 83-degree temperature, and don't drink any water all day and sweat profusely and see how long the weather will make you feel comfortable. See if the sun will make you feel comfortable. See if it's a sub. Go out there in the Arctic and stand out there in a blizzard with nothing but shorts on and tell me, does the weather care? Does the earth care if you're comfortable? Go outside in front of a hurricane, a gale force 5 hurricane, and tell me if the hurricane is coming towards you, if it's going to move out your way because you're standing there and they don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. Tell me, will Mother Earth do that to you? Is that considerate? Tell me if you go in front of a lion's den and the lions are hungry and you go out there and stand in front of them with T-bone steaks on your waist as a belt, dripping in bacon juice, if the lions are going to say, nah, we're not going to do that because we won't want to make him uncomfortable. Exactly. So to let you know, the world doesn't care about your feelings. And the second you teach your children or you think of yourself in that way because you're delusional, is the day you'll get your reality, your wake-up call. You're going to see these people here. They don't care about me. They care if I can help, if I can speed up and make sure I'm going faster than the flow of traffic, or I need to get out the way and get into the right lane because they got to get what they're going. They don't care about whether or not I'm comfortable or not. They want to get home from work. So again, you struggle. You're going to have to decide on your relationship. Are you going to lead or are you going to love? Because again, you can't lead with love if your leadership requires you to disagree or criticize or judge or direct or redirect or chastise. And your disagreement or your chastising has to be respected because you are the leader. Which means you're not going to be liked when you chastise. Your wife is not going to like you. My wife does not like me when I chastise her. And I'll give you a good situation about how that goes. My son Philip, today is the last day of school for my kids. They have a half day. Yesterday, my son Philip comes in, and I'm only getting a secondhand story. So it's his version versus her version, and I got to decide on what's the truth. And my son comes in, he won 3rd place in the 3rd grade's math bee, which is the whole 3rd grade is doing all this competition over math problems like you would a spelling bee, but it's math. He came in 3rd place in the entire 3rd grade in one of the top schools in our county and one of the top elementary schools in the country. I'm proud of him. But when he came home, he had an attitude for whatever reason. And my wife says that, you know, he does this quite often because I'm not here when he comes home. I remember, I used to work and I used to be home for 3 weeks. Now I work full time because we need benefits. Business isn't doing so well as it used to. It's doing well, but it's not doing as well as it used to. I don't have the luxuries once tasted. They're not necessities anymore. So what do? Right? My son comes in with an attitude. My wife is on the phone or about to get on the phone for something she feels important. My son interprets her not paying attention to him because I guess he has something he wants to tell her, but he doesn't feel that she's in a receptive mood to see or acknowledge him. So he has an attitude, slams the paper down, goes stomping about and says, "You don't even care." So what does my wife do? She yells at him, right? That's her first response. Now, I had to reprimand my son for his actions of coming in and acting that way. But I also had to reprimand my wife on not acknowledging my son's feelings. Because when he's communicating to you and he's upset, he's telling you something. It's telling you that you're not now. Again, an 8-year-old does not have the ability to articulate themselves in a way that they would let you know that they're really bothered by something else or something global or something else that's non-relative, and this is the moment that sets them off. They're projecting their anger at you for a different reason that is not the core reason why they're upset. This is just a time where the outburst happens. Now, my job as a leader is to let my son know there is no place for his outbursts if he does not communicate well. But my job as a leader is to also reprimand my wife to let her know that yelling at my son instinctively and initially is not a way as a parent to conduct themselves, and you should inquire what's going on. If your son tells you you're not paying attention to him and you're not giving him attention, then that probably is a collective and cumulative issue, not a you're not paying attention to me right now. And I've had to explain to my wife that my son, for the first time in the last 2 years, now is the middle child. And it's different now that my youngest son, the 3rd child, is now 2 because he's a lot more independent. He walks around, he can eat, he cries, he can decide on what he wants. He's a presence. He's not a little baby walking around and like a rock, you got to pick it up and feed it and put it down and it goes to sleep. He's a living, breathing person now. He has his own personality. Things he wants, things he don't want. He can hurt people. Not, you know, altogether, but he could pick up a knife and stab you unknowingly if he wants to, right? A broken clock is right twice a day at least. So he has the ability to inflict damage and pain. And he requires attention. When he sees his father, he wants me to pick him up. When he sees his mother, he wants her to pick him up. Sometimes he don't want nobody else touching her. He wants only him, including me, not touching his mother. He only wants her for him. And another son feels slighted in that ability. He feels slighted that he doesn't get his mom like he used to because he used to be her boy. And for an 8-year-old, that's never going to change because that's always still his mother. And that's what I had to tell my wife. And again, if you don't spend time, individual time with your child, that relationship will continue to dwindle away and wither and wilt away. And it will come out and manifest itself in a negative way much later in life. You have 3 children. You decided to open up your legs. You decided to receive me. And then you produced me. And now you have to reproduce with me. And now you have the obligation to make a connection with each of your children despite the level of difficulty, because you, like every other woman throughout history who's had more than 1 child, more than 2 children, more than 3 children, have had the same challenge set before them. And the same thing happens when I started working, and I started working full time, and the baby did not see me as much. I had to make sure the baby didn't want me to hold him. He cried whenever I touched him because I became a stranger to him at some point. And what happened? I see 12 out there, huh? What are they going to go get? And what happened? What did I do? I had to come home from work and I had to spend time with him, sit down. I had to take opportunities. Instead of my wife feeding him dinner, I'll feed him dinner. I had to cut into the time and be more present to be in front of him. And on my weekends, I had to take time to do things alone with him. So I'd take him on walks, just me and him. My daughter, she's now 10, going on 11. She's starting to get a little hormonal. She's got to shave her armpits now. I asked my daughter, I said, what's going on with you? A couple days ago when we were down in Virginia. I said, babe, what's going on with you, right? I can't just go and reprimand her, chastise her all day. Talk to him, babe, what's going on with you? What's going on, man? You've been acting different. And what did she say to me, Dad? I just miss spending time with you. I miss watching movies with you. So we got home the first night. What's the first thing I did when we got home? I didn't go start working on Ancestry Lands. I didn't make a video. I sat down and watched Megamind with my children. They wanted to play video games, said, let's watch a movie. Because I'm listening to my children. And I'm trying to tell my wife the same thing. Listen to your children when they're talking to you, because if not, you're going to have the same generational problem that's happened before. Whenever the son complains to the mom about something, she's too busy not hearing him because she treats him as a child. Well, now he's a grown man, and now he's more violent and aggressive as ever, and now he's talking to you with fury and anger, but she's not a little boy anymore. Now you have a man in front of you. Now you have a man in front of you being aggressive, and it can be frightening. What do? Call the cops now? Now the police are there with your son who's angry about something the cop doesn't care about. You think that cop there cares about that guy's mother didn't love him or respect him enough when he was 8 and he's still dealing with those issues now at 30? He's smoking weed every day, depressed because he's not where he wants to be in life, and no one cares. You think that cop's going to care about that? No, he's worried about getting through his day so he can get home with his family. So he perceives him as a threat because he doesn't understand what that man's going through. And a cop is not a therapist. So again, with too much aggression, he's met with violence to subdue his aggression. And the mother loses a son. Does it always turn out that way? No. But these are the things that I struggle to have to kind of lead, to teach. And I had to let my son know that while I'm reprimanding my wife, he in no way is absolved of his responsibilities to communicate what's going on or conduct himself in a different way. And how could he do that better? He could come and talk to his father. Always come to me and let me know what's going on. If one parent does not work in the effect of communication, you come to your dad before you get an attitude with your mother. And you ask me to speak on your behalf. You tell me what's going on, whether tears are coming down your face or a smile's coming from your teeth or your mouth. You communicate with your father and you let me know what's going on. You do not react with actions. You react with speech and intelligence. And I had to teach my son the same thing I'm teaching my wife. You only have them, the days are long, but the years are short with your children. What's a long day dealing with your children? I got to go home and I got to make sure I give them all attention. The days are long, but these years will be short. I have more of my life that I think about not having my children in the home than I will having them in the home. And after then, you cannot get these years back. And it's a struggle, because in that moment, outside of reprimanding my son because he's always wrong, I had to have enough intelligence to understand that my wife was not right either. And as my wife listened to me reprimand her, she understood that she too has a responsibility as a parent to treat her children like they're humans, like they're beings with feelings, like they're infallible, like they're making mistakes. They don't communicate well, but it's your job to communicate for them by understanding things that they cannot communicate. You cannot be so absorbed in yourself, concerned with making money, that you forget that your children don't care about it. You teach them the understanding of money, but they don't care about it when it comes to spending time with you. They just want to be around you. They just want you to make them feel like they're somebody for one moment. They want you to make them feel like they're on top of the world for one moment in time. Because they just want you to say you're proud of them. They want you to say that you mean it, that they're all good, that they don't have to feel like that every time they get a compliment, it's got to be laid with some kind of bring yourself down to earth reality. What is wrong with this world that we cannot just give people praise without always bringing them down 2 notches when we try to take them up 3? Now we only give them 1 notch of praise. We can't make someone feel secure because we got to make sure they're always humble enough. And when you make them humble enough, they actually have no sense of pride, no sense of self. What does it got to do with land ownership? It has everything to do with land ownership. It's everything to do with your generational wealth, your generational mindset, because again, these children will either be the ones to emulate you, or they will be the ones that become opposite to you. They will either engulf the things that you say, they will engulf the teachings, they will make it part of themselves, and they will pass it on generationally, just like you do a property that you own from Ancestry Lands by going to ancestrylands.com. Or they'll turn away from it completely because they want to be nothing like you. They won't carry on the legacy of this business. They won't carry on the legacy of these programs. They won't bring you wisdom that is, you can see is the wisdom of myself, now passed down and brought into a different form, more modern for the time that they exist in. When my children are 40-something years old, talking to you on the screen, where you can look back to this video and see the father in them. That'll all be lost to time, and then you look at my time here on this planet and all the landowners that I've created through giving them an opportunity like this, that all will be lost. And this happens in families all the time where wealth is squandered because the mindset is not there. And it's not just financial mindset, it's also making sure the emotional mindset is there too. You have the ability to talk to your kids, and your children have the ability to listen. So again, these are things I struggle with. Things that press upon my mind. And hopefully this video has been a learning lesson for you and you've gotten some value out of the things that I'm talking about. This is one of the things I struggle with, and we'll talk about things more. I'm not in a depressed mood, but I just want to make sure that you're dealing with the person and seeing a man who goes through things that, yeah, while I'm selling land, these are things I go through too. This is part of my journey as a landowner, is dealing with the frustrations of things of keeping my family together and preventing future devastation from occurring. Folks, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, a like, a share, and a subscribe. If you haven't already been subscribed, make sure you go to the description section below, right below in the early part of the description section. You'll see a link to my book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing, written by yours truly. A book you should read, a book you should buy, and a book you should own, and also a book you should gift to another. Because knowledge is key and knowledge is kept forever. Always if it's contained in a book. Just think about it. Bible's 2,000 something years old and it's still here today, even though, you know, we can talk about it being changed, but it's still here. And the best kept secrets are kept inside of a book. Remember, folks, AncestryLands.com is where you can go to find property. Remember, folks, if you don't own property, you will be owned as property. I'm your host, Philip Davis. I hope you've been educated, enlightened, and least of all, entertained. Peace, and I'm out.
Are you confused with today's real estate market? With high interest rates and overpriced housing, it can be hard to find something to own at the right price. Available on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirt by author Philip H. Davis is a game-changing book that invites you to embark on a thrilling exploration of this often overlooked asset class. This book is your roadmap to unlocking the secrets of vacant land investment. Inside these pages, you will uncover the transformative power of vacant land as a wealth-building tool. Discover how to spot promising properties, assess their true value, and capitalize on market trends. From understanding zoning and permits to leveraging financing strategies, you will gain the knowledge and confidence to make savvy investment decisions. With each page you turn, you will gain a deeper understanding of the profound impact your investments can have on the world around you. Getting Dollars from Dirt is not just a guidebook, it's a call to action. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a curious novice, this book will empower you to tap into the immense potential of vacant land and embark on a journey toward financial freedom and a brighter future.